Welcome everyone to Wednesday. I started without recording, so I'm going to have to kind of back up just a little bit. We're talking about how our emotions affect other animals. Thank you so much. Sorry for reminding me I wasn't hitting record. But we're talking about how our energy affects animals. And Ruth Armstrong gave a great question about what do we do when an animal is in an abusive situation or is coming out of an abusive situation. So I want to share what happened at Nama Stables. Was there was a little boy calf. He's a Jersey. I called him a Holstein, I think, on my Facebook, but that's wrong. He's a Jersey cow. His name is Norman. And he came in because Jackie, the owner of Nama Stables, got a call and said there's a dairy farmer. What happens with baby male cows is they usually go to slaughter, or they go to rodeos where they're, calf roped and all these other things. It's not a great life for a male cow. And then a lot of times they're just killed or whatever happens to them, right? So she rescued the little boy cow, the little calf, and then her sister was like, "Oh my gosh, you've got to get the mom. You've got to get the mom." And so she went back to get the mom, and they said, "No, it's a dairy farm. The mom makes us too much money, so we can't give you the mom." But Norman actually had a twin. So while we were there, she got the twin, and I'm so grateful. We donated $500 to her, which is I think like around 650 Canadian, and it was $900 to buy the little girl. So she was able to use our class money to help offset that price. So she went and bought the little girl. It was a twin of Norman. And that's really rare for a cow to have a twin. So she was really excited to bring the little girl. And I think her name, and Claudia, you can unmute and correct me. The little girl's name was JWoww. But while we were there, these little calves, these little calves, they were very, very shy. And of course, when you're feeding them a bottle, which we got to do, which was really cool, that's one way where they connect with you. But once that bottle's empty, then they were really, really shy and scared. Now, what we could have done is we could have focused on the fact that, oh my gosh, she couldn't get the mom. Oh my gosh, Norman, was saved from a really horrible fate. But in the Let Animals Lead way, we always focus on the positive. And so, Claudia, I would love for you, because, of course, I can share and share and share, but I would love for you to share your experience of how the little calves turned around.
Yeah, it was amazing when we were standing in the pasture, right? Doing I think it was our first meditation of the day on day one, after we did the coloring. And we just stood there. And first, JWoww came up to me, and it was so hard to let my ego out of it, because your first reaction is like, oh yeah, and start to focus on the animal, right? And we are taught not to do that. So okay, so I didn't. And then JWoww went off to, I think, the rest, and she spent quite some time with Priscilla, which was also quite amazing. But then all of a sudden Norman came up ever so slowly, and and then he nuzzled my hand and just stood with me for a while, and then also moved on to all the other people there. And that was just so, I don't know, it's hard to describe. It was beautiful. Yeah.
Because they were both really, the little girl wasn't, surprisingly, the little girl wasn't as shy as
No,
Norman, who had been there longer, but
but still shy.
but still shy and still holding back. Had we been all needy and our energy would be like, oh, it wouldn't have happened. But like you said, when we were all quiet and just focusing on our breath and focusing on, we always focus on love, all is well is the mantra that we use. And I think that's what
Yeah,
we were using during
yeah,
that
that
first
was
meditation. And then that shifts the energy, because words, we're going to talk about this next week, how words have power, words have energy. And so it was really wonderful to see, because we had just gotten there, they didn't know us, and how they completely opened up and started, like you said, because you were standing, I think, closer to their little,
yeah.
because during the coloring, we did our coloring exercise, they stayed hidden in the tall like brush. But then when we did the meditation, the all is well meditation, everything started to shift and they started to come slowly forward. And then after that, they were really friendly, right?
Yes, yeah, yeah. They didn't go back hiding. No, they hung around. Yeah. Yeah.
especially the second day. They were so cute. Remember, they went and laid with the pigs because we were over by the pigs.
Yes. Yeah.
And they came in to where the pigs were because they had kind of free range, and they laid with the pigs, which was really sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they
Yeah.
were
It was.
in that energy. It was amazing. So thank you so much, Claudia. So we can shift things for them when we are in a positive space. Our first instinct is going to be, oh my gosh, that's so sad. That's so sad. Like when we go to care, when you get to care, we do a tour with Kristen, and Kristen tells you all about the animals. And Beth is here, and she's done this a couple times. And so what happens is that she's going around telling their stories. But what we say before we even start is, do not focus on the stories. Focus on the fact that they're safe, they're loved, and they're happy. Because going around to the animals, if we go to them with that, oh my gosh, that's so sad. Oh, that story's so sad. Because Amos, the oldest monkey there, has a very tragic story. But if we focus on that story, Amos feels that. He's highly sensitive. Now, knowing Amos as well as I do, I know that Amos is highly, highly sensitive, and he's very sensitive to energy. But for people just meeting him, they may not know that. And they might get a Amos like backing up, or not wanting to be around them, or like turning his back. That's a lot of times what he does. He turns his back when he doesn't want anything to do with you. And that's what Amos is going to do, because Amos doesn't want to focus on what's happened. That's over. They aren't focused on the past like we are. They're like, okay, I'm safe now. Now everything's new and different. Now I can focus forward, right? Now I can focus on this present moment, just being here. And when you walk around the property with Kristen, the animals love her. Like even sometimes when we're doing meditations, if Kristen walks by, it's really disruptive, not because she's loud, but because the animals go, well, what's mom doing? What's she doing? And it's not even, they know it's not feeding time or anything. They're just so curious, what's mom doing? What's she bringing? What's she doing? And and she never focuses on their negative stuff. When they come to her, it's like, okay, you're in a new place. Boom. We're not focusing. We're not talking about that. We're not going to go back to where you were. And it makes a huge difference in the attitudes of the animals. And so when we go as a class to care, it's so important. And we go over this over and over and over again, how negative energy can affect them, and they will show it. I remember the first year that Kathleen and I went to care, the woman who organized the class she just wasn't a very nice woman in general. She stole money from Kathleen, and it was just a bad situation. But even before that happened, we were doing the tour, and one of the tigers, Bolshoi, what tigers do is they'll mark, and their urine is like a regular cat, and it comes out and it shoots really far, and it stinks like ammonia really, really badly. So when we were walking by Bolshoi tried to pee on this lady. Like Kathleen and I were behind the lady a couple feet, and Bolshoi saw her and literally turned his butt and went to spray her. And we found out later that he did not like her at all. And he would do that to her often because she had done other classes. She no longer, after our class, she no longer went out there again. But it was really funny because animals pick up on people's energies, right? It wasn't like she was mean to the tigers. It wasn't like she was a outwardly mean or angry person, but Bolshoi did not like her. And he let it be known in his passive aggressive way how much he didn't like her. So when we're talking about animals and our energy and having a good connection with them, we have to remember that even who we are as a person, right, is going to come through. Like if you are a sad person or an angry person, but you try to hide it with, oh, well, everything's fine, everything's fine. Humans might be able to go, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, they're fine. But animals are like, no, 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 you're not okay. You're not fine. The good thing about animals not knowing that when you're not fine is animals know how to show compassion to us. So there was a study with dogs. They actually did the study with babies, but then they decided to check in with dogs to see if they mirrored what we were feeling. So what they did was they got the test people to sit with the dogs and either do talking or humming or pretending to cry. And when the people pretended to cry, the dogs responded by coming over and sniffing them, licking them, nudging them. Instead of being playful or ignoring them, they wanted to comfort them. They didn't respond really to the talking and the humming, but the crying they did. And it was showing in the study and showing the scientists that dogs, and probably just from years and years and years of being around humans, have that empathy in them where they see us crying and they want to make us feel better. And that's kind of like how we feel with animals. We see them. But the difference is dogs aren't focusing on what happened to us in the past or what tomorrow might bring. They're just in this moment. In this moment, I want to make you feel better. And it's such a great guide for us because in this moment, when we're with an animal, no matter what kind of abuse they've been through, if we can stay positive and loving, that can shift everything. And there is a study that showed that in shelters, when caregivers walked in stressed or distracted, that the barking and pacing increased. But when they came in calm, then the calm started to increase with the dogs. So it can go either way, right? We come in stressed, we're going to get that reaction back from animals. But if we come in calm, then we're going to get that reaction. That's why the let animals lead method works so well in shelters, because we're just going in, we're just sitting with them, we're creating a space, and then they can, the space is calm and they can choose to either come and lay with us or not. So they have choice. There's all these things that go into it, but the underlying factor of them not resisting, what am I trying to say? Relaxing is our calmness. And then it calms them down. And then the more calm they are, the more likely they are to deeply connect with you. And also at Nama Stables, I have this beautiful stallion named Cruz, such a beautiful stallion. And he was very, not trusting at first, just kind of checking us out, not really sure what we were about. But by the second day, he was coming forward and wanting touch, wanting to put his head against your forehead because, I meditated with him. I know Priscilla did. I don't know if you were able to, Claudia, but the students who did meditate with him, he wanted to come up and like put his head on their shoulder, put his forehead right here against theirs. He really wanted that connection. And again, we weren't focused on, I don't even know Cruz's story. I just know he's a stallion, and stallions usually aren't that open and loving. They're usually a little more standoffish, but he was just such a love bug and wanted to be a part of it. And one of the other horses, Onyx, he was the same way. He was pretty skittish and pretty shy. And then by the end of the first day, he really wanted interaction. And by the second day, he not only wanted touch and interaction, but he was being playful about it too. He was doing this funny thing with his lips where he would like look like he was talking. So we were laughing with him and he just kept doing it, like trying to make us laugh. It was the cutest thing. But animals, when we respond to them in a loving, kind way, and even with joy, they respond back. That is the highest energy, is love and joy, not worry. And what do? We want to go in, we want to worry, we want to say, oh my gosh, this cage is too small. They don't have this, they don't have that. We have to focus on the positive. And that can be really hard because I remember just a couple years ago, there was, I don't know if it was a petting zoo, but I know they had a giraffe and they had some other animals. It was in Arizona where it's super hot and they didn't have water. And somebody noticed that, and I guess this place didn't have a very good reputation for how they treated their animals, but I guess somebody noticed and then they complained and somebody went in and then they ended up rescuing these animals. So what can happen in that situation is you don't have to get down and upset and worried. What you can do is say, hey, this isn't right. So now I'm going to do something about it, right? And there's power in that. Doing something about it isn't the same as sitting there and having pity and worrying about the situation. We can sit there and go, okay, this is happening. What I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to say all is well, because in this moment right now, they're still alive, all is well. So I'm going to focus on that. Then after that, now you can say, okay, now that my mind is calm and quiet, what are the things I can do to help with the situation? And there might not be anything you can do, but the one most powerful thing you can do that every single person can do is you can send love. You can send love and support. You can send the knowledge that you are important. I love you. You matter, right? Because every single being, I don't care what being it is, wants to be seen, heard, and appreciated or loved, right? Appreciation is still like a vein of love. But if that's really what every single being wants, is just to be seen, heard, and loved. And I thought, I don't know where I got that, but I think Brene Brown is the one that says that, like, seen, heard, and either appreciated or loved. I'm not sure which one she says, but it is so true. And with animals, that's very true. And you start to see it. So when we can come up and be, I see you, right? I hear you. I hear you. I understand. And I love you. And we sit in that space, everything changes. Every single thing changes. And even at the Nama stables, there were some ponies there and the goats, and they were very shy, and just like the little calves, shy. But then, after half a day of meditating, everybody starts to open up because they start to feel that I see you, I love you, I'm so happy, I'm so appreciative to be here. It makes a huge, huge difference in how they show up and how they open up to us. So when we're with these animals, don't focus on what's wrong, focus on what's right. And what's right is, I love you, I see you, right? I'm here for you. That is what's right in this moment. And even if it's, like a body of animals, like let's say the animals in Ukraine, right? So you just send love and appreciation to those animals and to the people who are caring for those animals. We can't save everyone. It's not our role to save everyone, but it is our role as humans to be part of nature, to be part of this whole beautiful web, and to send love so that love is amplified. And remember, love is the most powerful emotion. So there was one more study I want to share with you with keepers and the big cats. And a study found that zookeepers because they spend so much time with the animals, they clearly sense and they can rate the emotions of the big cats. So whether it's they're feeling fearful or aggressive or calm. And then these emotional states directly shape how the animals react to either food, toys, or interactions. So basically when the keepers come in calm and positive, it helps the cats feel safer, and then they can be more at ease. And these are, big wild cats, and they're at zoos. So it makes a difference how we show up no matter where that is. And I've shared with you on many different calls how, when I would take students for World Animal Reiki Day to the zoo, and how when we go in with love and appreciation and just to each and every animal say thank you, they look at you, they feel that energy of love and gratitude and appreciation. That is a really strong energy, and they immediately react to it because it's so different than, oh my gosh, look at that tiger, oh my gosh, that's so cool, that's so cool. That's one energy. But the energy of gratitude and I see you and I thank you and I'm so grateful for all the joy you bring to these people, that is a really powerful energy. And you can use that with any animals, like whether you're walking down the street and you see a dog or you see a horse or you see a cat, just telling them, oh, I love you and I appreciate you. It changes everything, and it raises the vibration of the entire world. We're one little person, but actually we're part of a bigger web, and our energy does matter. The other study was, I found that tigers cared for by keepers with positive attitudes had fewer stress behaviors like pacing or repetitive movements. And so those with neutral or negative, they had, let me start over. Sorry, guys. Studies show that tigers cared for by keepers with a positive attitude had fewer stress behaviors than those who were just like neutral or negative. In fact, the negative caregivers or keepers, sorry, I'm reading this and I keep getting mixed up with caregivers and keepers, they saw increased signs of stress. So there's actual studies out there that show how our attitude, our energy affects animals. And it's really important that we then start to be mindful of it for ourselves and say, okay, what can I do to change this? So the easiest thing we can do to change this is we can say, all is well, right? You are safe. You are loved. all is well. And we're going to talk next week about this, about how our words have energy. But also, we have to be really sensitive to where our energy is. And I really encourage you to try to do an exercise where, like, just say for one day, you're just going to track your negative talk, your negative speak, whether it's about you or somebody else or anything, right? Or a sad situation, and just say, oh, no, all is well. Every time you have a negative thought, just, oh, nope, all is well. And the reason I say to do that is because when you start doing that, you start to create an automatic mindfulness technique within you. So as soon as you start to go negative, all is well will pop up. It's like, oh, I'm stuck in traffic. This is really bad. Nope, nope, all is well. All is well. When we create that repetition, and a lot of these calls, I mean, I'm telling you basically the same thing over and over and over again, but it's important because repetition creates habit, right? It creates not knowledge, but creates, what am I trying to say? Like a foundational thought process. So when something negative is happening, if you're constantly saying, nope, all is well, pretty soon the negative thoughts don't come as much, and they definitely don't last as long. So if I do this for myself, to be honest, I do this all day long because I have a very stressful job, and it's very good for me for mindfulness because I can sit there and go, no, no, everything always works out for me. Because there's times, I mean, we've all been there. If you're at a job and things get really hard, or you might screw up and you think, oh my God, oh my gosh, why did I do that? And if you have an automatic, you know what, all is well, or everything always works out for me. Everything's always working for my highest good. This is okay. I'm safe. It's safe for me to make a mistake, right? If you can think of positive things, something, for me, it's all is well and everything always works out for me. But for you, it might be something else. But just saying that always, or you could use the precepts too. The precepts are amazing. I mean, they're an amazing mindfulness tool because for the precepts, and when I was first learning them, they were like my best tool. When you get stressed, it's like, okay, for today only, for today only. And that's a really great tool too. So whatever you want to use to really help yourself catch yourself during those negative moments. And you have to do it when you're not necessarily around animals, because you want it to be automatic, so that when you go sit with an animal, then you can be like, okay, I don't want to be negative. I only want to share positivity. And you can put it aside. One thing that one of my meditations teachers taught me years and years and years ago is just put everything in a box. Imagine that you're putting all your worries, all your troubles in a box, and just say, okay, I'm going to put everything in a box right now. And I'm going to put the box over here. And then now I'm going to do my meditation. I'm going to be with an animal. I'm going to be happy. I think this is something Kathleen practiced too. I'm going to be happy. And then you go, okay, now I can go pick up the box now that that's over. But then when you go to pick up the box, you're like, I don't even really need to, because I feel so much better in my heart. Because when we sit with an animal and we're open and we're coming from that beautiful open space, then they're responding, they're mirroring it, right? So even like the dogs, when somebody faked cry, they wanted to bring in a mirroring of compassion, right? Oh no, it's okay, it's okay. And licking the person and nudging them and reminding them, no, 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 it's okay. My one dog, and this kind of goes to what Ruth was asking. So I'll read Ruth's question one more time. And she said, I'm curious on what we can do to support animals that have been with their humans through an abusive relationship. I know it affects them as it happens, and they see our pain when healing, and how can we support them through the healing and let them know we will be okay and are there to protect them. So I have a funny story. I wasn't in an abusive relationship. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I was in a relationship with someone this was, during Trump's first term. And he and I would get into arguments about Trump. And sometimes they were pretty heated arguments, right? Well, our dog Leo, who is a big Catahoula Lab mix, was really super sensitive, so connected to me too. So if I'm getting upset, Leo's getting upset. The bad thing about Leo is Leo would get colitis after a situation. And we didn't notice it at first. He would get like really bloody diarrhea. And then it was like, oh my gosh. And he would get over it within 24 hours. Dr. Karen Becker helped me with that. Feed your dog sweet potatoes and ground turkey meat because there's very little fat in ground turkey meat, and sweet potatoes are better than rice. And literally, like within 12 hours, he would be better. But we didn't really pick up on the fact that he was getting upset when I was getting upset. So as soon as I realized that, what I would do after an argument with Michael is I would take Leo into the office, and he and I would play happy music because he loved to dance with me. I would hold up his little paws and he loved that. He would always smile when we did that. So I would go in there and I would make him, I'd be talking silly to him and go, oh, and we'd play, and that would get him over it. So as soon as my energy changed to one of being playful and happy, then Leo was okay. So that's something that, and this was something we talked about in class too. We go to meditate with animals, or we go to sit with an animal, and then we're like, okay, this is really serious. And maybe even when you do animal communication, or even if you're doing flower essences or whatever you're doing, you might go in with this really serious attitude. And Taya Strom, the animal communicator that I always highly recommend, she taught me a few years ago, always go into every animal interaction with joy and love in your heart, because that is what they respond to. They're going to be more open when you're joyful and happy. So no matter what their situation, you want to be joyful and happy. And you might go, oh my God, but what if their situation, like what Ruth is saying, what if they were in, this abusive relationship, maybe they were abused, right? But they don't want to think about that. They don't want to go there. Like, that's a very human thing to go, oh my God, we've got to wallow in what's happening. Because if we wallow in what's happening, that means we really care. And it's like, no, no. I know for myself, I do not like it when people focus on the negative. Like if I say, yeah, I'm going to do this, and they'll go, oh, well, are you scared? Are you this? Are you that? And it's like, well, no, I wasn't, but oh my God, should I be? I don't like that. I would rather someone say, oh my gosh, that's so exciting. And I know, if I am scared, they go, oh, I know you might be scared, but hey, this is a really great opportunity. And oh my gosh, blah, 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 whatever that is, right? Happiness helps us heal. Happiness helps us get over our fears. Happiness, joy helps us look at things so differently. Like, you can have a problem come to you, but if you have a friend who's sitting there with you going, oh my gosh, you know what? I know this seems on the surface like it's really bad, but think about the things that could happen, if this happens, whatever that is. I prefer that. I like to laugh. I like to be joyful. So for me, that works. And I know for animals, it's the same thing. Like for Leo, it was so ridiculous how fast that change was once we realized, oh, Leo doesn't like it. And I mean, he didn't like it when Michael got upset either, but he was more connected to me energetically because, he was always in my classes. He was always in my distant Reiki sessions. He was just very connected to me. So if I was upset, he would get upset. But it was funny because I could be upset about something random and he didn't get upset. But if I was upset because of Michael, then it was something that made him internalize and get really, really upset about. So the things we want to remember is that when we're supporting an animal that has been through an abusive situation, or maybe is even still in an abusive situation, just focus on the positive, because we never know what that positive energy, what shifts can occur. I remember years ago, there was one of my students, she was doing Reiki with a horse that was not necessarily being physically abused, but definitely being emotionally abused, mentally abused, and just in the verbal communication with the horse, and maybe a little bit because the woman, I think the owner, used a switch. And I remember Emma was really upset. And what do I do? What do I do? I know the horse isn't happy. And it was just like, you know what, Emma, just focus on love. Just go in there and focus on love every time you do a session. And so she would put her worries aside. She'd go in, she'd be with the horse, do her session, and then leave. And after, I think it was like by the third session, the woman decided to give the horse away, and the horse went to a really good home. So we don't know, when we are sitting in that space, when we're sharing positive energy, we don't know what shifts can happen because of it. We don't know how powerful our energy of love and, oh, sorry, Nina's dog walker is here. Liliana? Oh yeah, you can grab her right here. Sorry. So we don't know how powerful our energy is and what can happen, right? Like Joe Dispenza always says, when you're in the meditative space, expect the unexpected. And that's such a powerful statement. And it's one I think is really important in the world of animal Reiki or in the world of animal care. Expect the unexpected. If you're sitting with an animal and you're feeling sad and you're like, okay, I've got to put this aside, or they're in a bad situation, focus on your love, focus on the energy of joy, focus on the energy of gratitude that you're so grateful that you're there with them, or if you're sending it distantly, that you're so excited to connect with them, and focus on that, because you doing that isn't like spiritual bypassing or you're trying to ignore what's happening. We have to remember animals aren't people. They don't focus on what's wrong. They focus on the energy of love and the energy of peace and the energy of calm, right? And that's what they're responding to. It's not worry. And so recently on 4th of July, there was a crow, a baby crow that fell out of the nest. And he's, crows, even when they're babies, are still kind of big. So he was kind of big. And I was worried something happened to him. So the mom was like dive bombing people, but she didn't dive bomb me because I usually give her like little treats. So she didn't dive bomb me. So I packaged up the little crow and took him to the emergency room so they could check him out. And it was funny because even when I'm taking her baby, she didn't even like dive bomb me. I thought it was really funny. I thought, oh, maybe she needs a break because she's so stressed out that her baby fell. But I didn't focus on, oh my God, oh my God. I was just like, okay, there's things we can do. I called the bird association and they were closed and they said to call the emergency vet. And so I did, and I made an appointment and I went in, and it's 4th of July. So we're there and they looked at the baby crow and they said, oh, it's just a fledgling, and it's nothing's broke. Its wings seem strong. So, they fixed the box. So it was a better little nest for him. And I took him back. And so since 4th of July, he's been out of the nest and he can kind of walk around, but he's not flying, can't fly. And so he can't get up in the nest. So at night and everything, crows usually go somewhere at night. I don't think they stay around locally. And so I was worried about him, like, especially 4th of July night. When I went to go put him back, I said, okay, if the mom isn't there, then I'm going to take him to my bathroom, because that's what the emergency room said. They said, if you don't feel comfortable leaving him, just keep him in your bathroom, but be sure to take him back in the morning. And so the mom was there. So I'm like, okay. So I put him under a little bush and he was there. And then the next morning I went and he was there and he was squawking and he was happy and healthy. And then like later that afternoon, he got out of the box. And because I went back, I called the bird association. They said, oh, take him out of the box. And so I went back, but he was already out of the box. So now since 4th of July, he's just been out and he just kind of walks around. And I saw the mom this morning feeding him. And I was thinking, since 4th of July, especially 4th of July, because what I wanted to do was worry. I was like, oh my gosh, the fireworks, and it's so loud down here on the waterfront because they shoot off the big fireworks on the water just right up the road. And so I was starting to get worried. I'm all, no, I'm not going to do that to this bird. I'm not going to do that to the mom. So I just kept sending love and light, right? Love and light, love and light. And he's out there and he's walking around, and he's squawking, and you could tell he's getting stronger and he's getting more bold because now he's like walking through the park. And I'm always like, oh, you probably should get under a bush. And the mom is a lot calmer. She doesn't dive bomb as much. So it was, for me personally, I was like, wow, it's so easy to go to that place of worry, but that place of worry does nothing. Me worrying about the baby crow doesn't change the baby crow situation. In fact, all I'm doing is putting sludge on the baby crow and the mom. But by saying, nope, everything, all is well, no matter what happens, all is well. Because also it's nature. We have to also be willing to accept that, yeah, the baby crow might die, but the baby crow, even if the baby crow passes away, the baby crow is going to know that he was loved, right? The baby and the mom's going to see that her baby was loved. So we just have to stay in that energy of positivity and love. And that's what they respond to. So now, like the mom is very calm. She's so much calmer now than she was, even though her baby is out. And I really attribute that to the fact that I'm bringing calm energy, and I think that that's building. It's not like, oh, I'm creating something and now because I'm meditating, it's creating this peace. I believe that when I meditate and create a piece, then it kind of God, I cannot talk today. It multiplies, right? So the mom starts to feel more peaceful. The baby starts to feel more peaceful. And when they feel peace, it's not like with me where my peace will leave me every 5 minutes. Their peace stays. And even if something happens, like a dog tries to get the crow, the baby crow, and people walking around are very good about keeping their dogs leashed and away from it, that it happens for a second and then it's over, right? And they move on. So for me, it's been a really good lesson in realizing my energy affects what's happening in a way that it's not like, oh, wow, I'm so strong. My energy is so strong. I'm able to do this. It's more like I'm becoming a part of what is natural and loving, right? So we're creating a space together. And then there's another crow that's joined them that's younger. She's not a baby like that one, but you could tell she's younger because of the way she squawks and everything. So you're creating like this little space, safe area, and their energy together also creates it too. So we're just kind of joining in and creating this beautiful, safe space. So it's something I just want you all to remember about your energy and how we affect it. And, like the studies I was sharing, our energy affects what's happening, like with the zookeepers. And you hear this too a lot with, they say, and I know Kristen experienced this, you never go in with a wild animal distracted. You go in fully present because that is what they need. They need full presence. And they show us that. And one time, Kristen with Bolshoi, and Bolshoi was her tiger from a baby. So she's a trainer, a professional trainer. She used to train lions. And so she went in with Bolshoi, who was probably around 6 or 7 at the time. And Bolshoi was like an 800-pound Siberian tiger. So he had tons of fur because he's part Siberian. He was Siberian and Bengal. And she wasn't paying attention to him. She was talking to somebody outside the enclosure. And he pinned her up against the wall, not in an aggressive way, but just like, hey, pay attention to me. Well, when he did that, his fur was so thick it got caught in her face and she couldn't breathe. And she was starting to panic. And the person, her partner that she was talking to, he couldn't see her. He had walked around, so he didn't know what was happening. But thank God, Bolshoi's enclosure and her jaguar, Maya, they were like this, back to back. And Maya jumped up and growled at Bolshoi, and Bolshoi jumped back. So then Kristen could get away. And she was like, whoa, that was such a costly lesson about we always need to be present with animals. So of course, our dogs and our cats aren't going to do that to us. But for me, hearing that story, I was like, oh, wow, animals really want us to be present, because it wasn't like Bolshoi was being aggressive and mean he just wanted her attention. He's like, wait a minute, you're in here with me and you're talking to them. Pay attention to me. And he did that to her, but it was a really costly mistake. But that's what animals want from us. They want our presence. They want us to be there with them in that moment. And when we can be, and when we can be in that energy of love and joy, it makes the biggest difference to them. And to us, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal because we're human, right? It takes a lot for us to feel good. Like, for me, if I'm going through something bad, I have to go talk to everybody about it and constantly feel better about it, right? Well, animals, they don't need that. So I know I've talked a lot. I want to open it up. Oh, and here, let's look at the chat really fast because blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Charisse, do you have the study and the one about the shelter workers? Yes, I do have those studies. I'll put links into the recap. In fact, I better make a note because you know me, I'll forget. So I'm going to put links to studies. Yeah, there was a couple about the caregivers too. And then Mel, and I just want to say congratulations to Mel, because Mel manifested her healing space. So Mel studied with me, I don't know, like 3 or 4 years ago. And that was her goal, to have it wasn't her goal at first. And then she realized, oh, I do want to have a healing space. So now she has a healing space that's right below where she lives. And she offers tarot readings and Reiki sessions. And she's also a notary. So congratulations, Mel. I just want to say that. But she says, sometimes when I'm stressed, I think of the little boy in the Matrix saying, there is no spoon, there is no stress. it's an illusion, and then go to all is well. Yeah, because everything kind of is an illusion, right? It's our perception. It doesn't mean there's anything real about it. It's our perception, and we have to remember that. And again, all is well. That's a Louise Hay saying. That is so powerful. Then Gretchen says, but you can't tell your pet, oh wait, but can't your pet tell if your joy or all is well mantra is not authentic? What if you really can't release stress in that moment? So Gretchen, I love that you asked this, especially with your own animals. Like, right? Like, if you're not being authentic, like let's say with Amos, and you just met Amos, and Amos has gone through a lot of trauma, and like all you can think about is Amos's trauma, because his story is really just, oh my God, it's so heartbreaking. So let's say you can't get past that. Well, with Amos, it would be a little bit harder, but with your own animals, Gretchen, and this is so powerful, and I so encourage you to do this, ask them for their support. So just like in the study about the dogs, when the person would pretend cry and they would go over and they would nudge the person or try to lick the person, try to comfort the person. It's the same thing with your animals, but here's the thing. We never ask them to help us. We're always like, oh, I need to help you. I need to do this for you. When we ask them to help us, they almost always step up and say, absolutely, right? Because they want to be there for us. They live with us. They care about us. They love us deeply. So if you're in a bad situation, and I did this with my animals, Nina, not so much, because I noticed with Nina, she's funny. She's my little terrier mix. Nina, I'll ask her, oh, can you help me? Because I'm not feeling good. And she will, but not like, she just gets kind of like, yeah, I'll do. And then she stays with me for a few minutes and she leaves. Whereas Shrek, the one who passed away, Shrek was like full body, all in. Oh, mommy, you need help. And he would like spoon me. Like, if I was on the ground, he'd come lay next to me. He was all about, I'm here for you, mom. I'm going to support you. Leo too, same thing. It's like, oh, Leo, I am not having a good day today. I'm not feeling good. Leo's right there next to me. Like sometimes he'd sit next to me, put his head on my shoulder. Your own animals are your best therapists, your best gurus, your best teachers. They want to be there. So that's okay. You don't.
They won't take on,
No,
the negative energy, their
no,
stress.
no,
Okay.
because it's when you're asking them, when you're telling them, like, right? No, that's a really good, thank you for pointing that out as well. So when you're telling them, oh, I'm going through a bad time right now, this is happening, I just need some extra support. No, but when we're ignoring that, right? When we're like, I'm so stressed out, oh, I got to take you for a walk, I'm so stressed out, we're going to go for the walk, I'm so stressed, and then you come back and you're not acknowledging what your energy is doing to them, that's when it gets dangerous. That's when animals start to pick up, like we all know neurotic people, and then they have neurotic animals, right? Because they're not acknowledging their own neuroses and trying to do something with their animals, right? Trying to make their animals feel safe, or just letting them know, oh, I'm going through a really stressful time right now. I'm really sorry, and spending those moments, because that's what's really important, Gretchen, is spending those moments with your animal where you're just mindful, you're just with them. And if you are stressed, then do something that doesn't make you stressed, right? Like, playing fetch with your dog, or just even petting your cat, or, if your cat likes to fetch or do whatever your cat likes to do, play with a string, do something that's going to bring them joy. And in bringing them joy, you're going to bring yourself joy. But that's a really important distinction, right? Because if you're constantly stressed, you're constantly sad, and you're not trying to bring little pockets of peace, like I did with Leo, right? Taking him in the office, putting music on, playing with him, laughing with him, being silly with him. That's what shifted it, right? It's not like Leo's like, oh, you can't ever argue because I'll never get over it. It was like, okay, this happened, but guess what? Now we're going to make it better. That's, I think, what's really important, Gretchen. And you're right. Yeah. If you're constantly going to them, oh my gosh, this happened, and you're never giving anything back, it's like the friend that constantly comes to you for advice. But the minute you turn to that friend, they're like, oh, I don't know what to do. I can't be there for you. I mean, I don't know how many of you have this person in your life. I don't really anymore, but I've had people in my life where it's like, they're constantly, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then something happens with me. It's like, well, I can't handle that. I mean, oh, you're just going to have to talk to somebody else about it. And it's like, well, wait a minute. This isn't a just give. It's a give and take. And it's the same with animals, right? We can't constantly be dumping on our animals and never giving them that safe space where they can be happy, joyful, and replenish themselves, right? So we replenish ourselves maybe by doing quiet things like meditation or whatever that is, or knitting, sewing, whatever it is, a creative thing. But for them, they like joy. I mean, I know for me, if I'm feeling stressed, I like to watch comedy and then I laugh. And maybe that's why Nina too is like, you'll get over this. I mean, she only does a little bit, because usually if I'm feeling sad, I don't like feeling sad. So I'm going to feel sad for a short time. And then I'm going to go, okay, I'm going to watch something funny and I'm going to make myself laugh, because to me, that's my easiest way of snapping me out of something. And I know Nina's already an anxious dog. She's, part Chihuahua, part Terrier, part miniature poodle. And we live in an apartment. And so it's very scary for her when she goes out and she's constantly bumping into dogs. So she's a little bit more high stress. So I know my role is to, okay, hey, we've got to make it happy for her when she's around. We have to, play. Even when I'm working all day, I have to take little breaks and do something fun with her so that replenishes her. But thank you so much for those questions, Gretchen, because, and I hope I
Thank
answered.
you. Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And then Diane says, are you able to share the contact information of the animal community? Oh, yeah, that's Taya Strom. I don't, if somebody wants to put her website in there, I love Taya. She is hard to get into, Diane, just FYI. But once you're a client, you don't have to wait as long. When you're new to her, it's usually about 3 months, but once you're a client, it's usually around a month to get an appointment. But she's very popular because she's very, very good. And then Joy said, if only farm workers, abattoir workers, and animal transporters could feel this way. Yeah, and I think that, Joy, you just highlight why it's so important for us, whether you study the Let Animals Lead way or not. It's really important for you to go out and share the information that it's important to be positive around animals, right? It's important to show animals love and respect. So even going to Nama Stables, Jackie was new to all of this, but she understood immediately what we were trying to do, and the animals responded. And really, if you can go somewhere and just practice, even if you haven't studied the Let Animals Lead method, if you just go out and you're meditating or just having quiet time, or go color, right? Just go color in front of an animal. When your energy becomes peaceful, that's when you can show others how contagious peace is, because they already know, I'm sure, how contagious stress is. But it's really important for us, the people who love animals and want to change their lives, that we have a duty to then go out and share these techniques. And honest to God, coloring, you guys, no matter what modality you do, just go take people coloring around animals. It is so, so life-changing. Right, Claudia, you were there in Nama Stables. It was the very first exercise we did that wasn't a meditation. We did the coloring, and it was just the animals, just everybody got calm. And I remember Jackie said at the end of the first meditation, she's like, I can't believe how quiet it is, because it's right. Claudia, you can unmute if you want. We're out. There's farms and neighbors and wild birds. Right, Claudia?
Yeah. And I remember Waddles the pig, he just conked out. He was just lying there all stretched out in his pasture, snoring like crazy. But also what I found very remarkable was the bunnies. Remember, especially, what was her name? Audrey Hepburn, who they only arrived a couple of days before we came as rescues. They always hid. And then by the second half of our first day there, they just came out of hiding and never went back in to hiding.
That was really that. Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I completely forgot about that. But you're right. That was so amazing. That was just because, like you said, Audrey Hepburn, she's really beautiful, like Angora type bunny. She was not coming out. And Jackie said that she just doesn't come out. Like even when she's feeding her and stuff, she wasn't coming out. But that was really, really cool. And then Jackie commented on that too. She's like, I can't believe she came out. And I think that after the end of the first day, Jackie went in to feed her and she said, usually she runs and hides, and she didn't, she stayed out. So it's, you know, it's really amazing what the gift that we can give these animals that might be shy, might be having a hard time acclimating to their new space just by being peaceful. And we weren't even by the bunnies, were we, Claudia?
No,
We
no,
weren't
no.
even.
We were quite a while far away, actually. We were more over at the pigs, and the bunnies were in front of the stables, right?
Yeah.
In one of the horse boxes. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was really, really crazy. But it's such a great reminder. That's why I love teaching these classes. It's such a great reminder of how our energy really affects. And you don't even have to be next to the animal. It affects not only where we're standing, right? Because we think our energy is like right here. It's huge. And in a group, and we'll talk about this maybe in a couple of weeks, how a group energy is even more powerful. It's so, I mean, if you can get a group together just to go color, like around a shelter or in a pasture with some horses or at a farm sanctuary, you're going to be shocked at the difference in the energy just from you coloring. And Rebecca said she bought a color kit today that's on animals. I love that so much. And Rebecca, you'll have to keep us posted if you go out and color with the animals. But that's something that you can do. And also remember, as adults, we need creativity, we need joy, we need simplicity in our life, a little break. So going out and coloring, that's something really easy that you all can do. And the effect is like huge. It's and you're gonna be shocked, I promise you. You're gonna be like, this is weird. All I'm doing is coloring, and there's a huge shift in the energy around me. You know, and the bad thing I think that happens when you do this is the insects start to come. Insects start to come, and that's like, you know, me, I don't like spiders in that way, so I always have to be away from bushes and things. But when we were there, it's like you could see flies and bees and the dragonflies seem to love that, they always come. But before we have to go, I just want to open it up. Does anyone have any questions? And you can just unmute if you want, like Gretchen did or like Claudia did, and ask a question. Next week we're going to talk about our words and how powerful our words are. And I'm going to teach you a really simple technique next week on how you can gauge your energy when your energy is negative. It's such a cool trick. It's not Reiki at all. It's I don't even know what it is. I guess it's kind of like dowsing, maybe, kind of, but not really, because I don't know how to douse. I've never taken a class in that, but I don't know. It's just this energy thing, and it is so cool. So does anyone have any questions? And I should put it on.
Yeah, I was just wondering where Claudia's from, if she doesn't mind if I
yeah.
ask.
The accent is Dutch.
Okay.
So I'm from the Netherlands originally.
Okay, it sounds European. I just I'm from Germany, so it sounds it sounds very much like it. So
Yep.
I'm always interested in people who sound like I do. So
That's so funny. All right, everyone. So I really hope you can join next week. And, you know, be sure to reach out. If I didn't cover something or you have more questions, just reach out to me. You can respond to the email that you get every week. But just let me know. And then, you know, thank you to Ruth for her question, because questions always help us. And just like with Gretchen, when she had her question, it opens up a deeper conversation. And I always welcome those. Or if you have a topic you want me to talk about or you'd like to share about, that would be great too. And then also, oh my gosh, you guys, oh my God, I can't even believe I didn't tell you this. Justin Stein, who is a scholar, a Reiki scholar, so well respected in all the Reiki lineages. He's very well respected. He is an amazing Reiki scholar. And thank you, Sherry. He did a lot of research. I think he's seen Mrs. Takata's notes. But anyway, Justin is going to come talk to us, and he's going to share with us a lot of different things about the history, but also some new things that they found out. And thanks to Nicholas Pearson for lining this up for us. But Nicholas said that Justin has some new information about Mrs. Takata and Reiki with animals, which we're going to get this firsthand, you guys. Like he doesn't talk about this. So it's really such an honor, and I'm so excited. Yes, Karen, it is such a clappable situation. I literally feel like I have a celebrity coming, because in the Reiki world, Justin is the scholar. Like he's written very scholarly books on it. He's done so much history on it. He speaks fluent Japanese. He's an amazing man, and I'm really excited. That'll be on August 6th. He's going to come in, and he's going to share that with us. So get excited, guys. So next week we're going to talk about our words, and I'm going to give you guys some science behind that, but I'm also going to give you guys some really simple ways that you can easily switch your energy, but also find out, oh, is my energy affecting this? And it's so cool. And you're going to see how your words, this test I'm going to give you, this little tool, you're literally like, you're going to go, oh crap, because you're going to see how your words affect your body. And if they're affecting your body, imagining what they're doing to everybody else around you. So I'm super excited to share that next week. But in the meantime, have a beautiful week. You guys, thank you so much for coming. For those of you listening in, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I will see you all next week. Mwah. Bye, everyone.